Hello, partners, hello, customers, and hello, all fans of cybersecurity trends. It's your old pal and host of the Akamai Partner Champions podcast, Nick Watkins. And before we cut to our interview today, I want to talk about why I'm dressed in my lovely cozy sweater. And that's because the weather is turning cold here in Minnesota. I haven't fully converted to, say, Jack Torrance at the end of The Shining quite yet, but it is getting a bit chilly here. And also, it is Thanksgiving week, where many of us in the US are sitting around our family tables and desperately biting our tongues trying to not get into a political argument with our uncles. But the reason I wanted to talk to you a little bit today is to talk to you about what I'm thankful for. And one of the great things that I've really enjoyed about doing this podcast is getting to talk to such a huge variety of different partners. And I've talked to people in Germany, in Peru, in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's been a really great experience, and it's helped broaden my worldview quite a bit. And so one of the things I'm grateful for is just getting that chance to sit down with guests from all over the world and just hear a little bit about what it's like in their world. That's my very clumsy segue to say how excited I am for today's interview, because today we are featuring Pronteff, India's first Akamai certified API security partner. You can tell there's a little bit of a bias there, just API security, always going to get over with me. Now, these guys are the pioneer behind one of Asia's first banking deployments of Akamai API security. Now, with a global footprint, Pronteff enables BFSI and enterprises to modernize and secure their API estate. In fact, their end-to-end expertise spans the full API ecosystem, strengthened by deep capabilities across Akamai, Red Hat OpenShift, and IBM integration and automation platforms. Now, Pronteff delivers hybrid federated API gateway modernization, cloud-native and containerized architectures, and enterprise-grade API governance aligned with Red Hat and IBM best practices. Now, powered by customer-first consulting approach and lab-tested platforms, build scalable, secure, future-ready API architectures for banks and large enterprises. If you want to know more, I highly encourage you to check out their technical blogs on pronteff.com or to submit a form to learn more about them. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start our interview with Hari Shankar from Pronteff. Take it away, boys. Now, I'm doubly excited for our next guest. First, because they are a legacy partner from my no-name security days, which means they know a thing or two about API security. The second reason I'm so excited for this next guest is because we both partner closely with IBM and have been able to find some great mutual opportunities as a result. But without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce the technical pre-sales and support engineer for Pronteff IT Solutions, Mr. Hari Shankar. Hari, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nick.
Now, I've been fortunate enough to work with Pronteff via our mutual partnership with IBM. Can you share a little bit with our audience about who Pronteff is, which markets you serve, and what makes Pronteff unique?
Thanks, Nick. Pronteff is a specialized integration company focused solely on the API and automation. We work extensively with the banks, fintechs, and regulated enterprises across the globe. What makes us unique, basically, we are practice oriented, where our team of 100 plus are core technical. So they're architects, they have R&D labs, they do the solution at the on-prem and before deploying to the customer location. And that gives a lot of opportunity to bring down the downtime in the customer location. And we also understand the legacy and the modern architecture that helps us building the API roadmap and help the customers.
That's one of the These are the types of partnerships that I absolutely love, because you bring a certain amount of thought leadership and expertise to this. Like I've worked with a lot of resellers like VARs who will just simply, put your product on a purchase order, ship it out the door, and that's the end of it. But then there's partners like Pronteff, like you, who actually go out there, who have the R&D labs, who actually can do the research, who can do these things that actually can help make the customer, make the solution fit better for the specific customer. And so I always feel like that's a really fascinating business model. Just out of curiosity, what made you want to go into that? I mean, have you always been in the IT industry, and, what led you to Pronteff, and what do you do there today?
Yeah, so a little bit background of me. So I was core into the IT technical side for more than a decade. Then slowly I moved into different roles where I wanted to have the business development partnerships and want to drive strategic collaborations. So that's where I joined Pronteff, where they're very strong in partnership with IBM, Akamai, and there are other OEMs. So to build the solutions across BFSI domain, And I also worked in the BFSI domain in past, so I know the pain points of the customers. So that helps me, driving my career and the using my previous experience.
That makes total sense. I like the space that you're in. I mean, selfishly too, because I went that way myself. But as I was at a crossroads in my career and kind of thinking where to go in terms of security, I did MDR, I did security training, and I did a couple other pieces. But the one that I thought that I found really exciting was this API and automation space. Because when I was reflecting on, what was going to come next and what every business is looking for, automation is really where a lot of businesses are driving. And so Pronteff, I think, is one of your unique differentiators. You guys really specialize in helping, BFSI, healthcare, like all these different organizations be able to become more automated, which then makes them more efficient because, there's certain trends in our markets, right? AI, cloud, these are things that are big trends. They ride big hype cycles, but automation and by default then efficiency will never be a trend. That's something everybody will always want. And so I think you and both Akamai and Pronteff serving those business goals, I think are something really interesting to talk about. And so I just want to commend you too, because that's sort of the area I myself as selfishly was interested in as well. And so it's just kind of fun to be on the forefront of helping businesses become more efficient. Would you agree?
Agree. Yep.
Totally. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to interview you specifically was because Pronteff recently secured one of the first referenceable banking customers in India. Could you give us a little behind the scenes stories of how this came about, including what issues they were trying to solve for, what made them consider no name slash Akamai, and what made Pronteff the right partner to help?
Yeah. So part of my role, I go visit the existing customers, new customers. I meet with the GMs, the head of the IT and CTOs. So that's where we have already sold some of the softwares, but we already generally ask them, what are your pain points? Do you have any audit compliance issues from the RBI governance, which is the regulatory authority of India? So that's where I came to know one of the bank where they were looking for the API discovery, the visibility portion of it, because they had a couple of integrations. They did modernization, hybrid architecture, by which they are not able to maintain the API inventory itself. So they don't know how many APIs their organization is using. Is it external? Any malicious attacks are happening?
Right.
So yeah, that's where they were looking for some other solution. They even purchased a WAP solution. I didn't want to name the OEM, but that was not able to discover the east-west traffic. So that's where,
Very important.
I thought perfectly no name fits in there. Then we had the expertise lab and we quickly shown him the demo and he liked it and we worked with Akamai and we secured the deal. So it's all in production now and they're very happy. Yeah.
A good win story, Hari. Like, that is fantastic. My favorite thing when going out and pitching API security is really you go to these organizations and you say, how many APIs do you have? And you'll get people who will say, oh, we've got maybe 300. Some people won't even wager a guess because, I mean, it could be, a silly number. But when we turn on No Name and we do the machine learning of their system and actually get that discoverability in there, and they start to see, oh my gosh, I have, 1,200 APIs. It's that light bulb moment that is just so fun as both a seller and a marketer, where you're like, yes, I can actually show these people like, you get them leaning forward in their chairs and they're all of a sudden very excited and engaged. And now all of a sudden they want to go, well, okay, now that I have all these APIs, how the heck do I secure them? Right. So it almost naturally lends to the next step of the sales cycle. So those are always things that are just really fun to see. And want to commend you as well, because getting that first referenceable bank customer in India, a very exciting opportunity. It's a great market. Now, I love partnering with IBM. I think they've got amazing innovations and acquisitions over the last 5 years. I mean, you think about Watson, hybrid iPaaS vision. I mean, they're doing exciting things to streamline both security and operations. So as a business partner, which solutions are gaining a lot of attention in your market? Where do you see the most opportunity, and what does it mean for a business partner like Pronteff?
In India, it's basically a huge market. When small fintechs, I see a lot of innovation, and it's very regulated by the governance like RBI or SEBI and other governance agencies. So that's where they're looking for more secure, because you can see the India is one of the largest online payment gateways they have,
Right.
and yeah, like they call it as a UPI. And that's where, wherever money is there or data is there, security is very important. So we see, even though it is economic, but they still want to invest on the IT, where, the cyber security, we wanted to be part of it. And they are mostly looking into the hybrid automation, and especially like, Cloud Pak for integration with IBM,
Hmm.
and also the Vault, the HashiCorp Vault, which IBM acquired
Such a
recently.
good acquisition.
Yeah, so that's where, customer are looking for, and also the API roadmap. They're looking for GraphQL, StepGen, the new area of the API roadmap. So that's where they are
Yeah.
looking for, and we're trying to help them and help on the cybersecurity side.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting point. I was curious, as a marketer, I often think, how can I help equip my partners to go out to talk to, say, a banking customer, a healthcare customer? In your experience, you mentioned compliance a couple of times. Do you find that compliance is one of the stronger drivers when you're going out and talking to them, or is it more visibility? Would you say it's more posturing? Just from your experience, what value driver would you say is really engaging the market?
As I said,
Depends on the customer, right?
companies, right? A lot of customers. So if you say the top 10, top 20, they are always driven by the new solutions, which is beneficial for them. But 90% of the other banking and fintech and healthcare, they're looking for a cheap and best solution for achieving these audits and compliance. So that's where, the compliance come is first. So
Totally.
as a Pronteff, we had system integrators, right? So we know the API, in almost, we're like a OEM agnostic. So we know any kind of API integration. So we go to any of the customers, we know if they're using Mule, Kong, anything, we help them, migrate to secure data power gateway, IBM data power gateway, or we replace, or we may use a hybrid gateway, and we also put some security solutions there. So that's where we have custom frameworks at Pronteff. So we use them just to see if it's a cost effective model. And that's
Yeah.
where we cross sell and make them stable.
Absolutely. And we also spoke about this a little bit earlier, but we're a global company. I always find it endlessly fascinating to hear about the nuances of different markets. And now being based in India, talk to us a little bit about what it's like to sell in India and which IT initiatives are you finding to be the most popular? What do you see as powerful motivators for clients, and what's something that might surprise listeners to learn?
I would say almost every customer, the IT team always wants to be cost effective, and they also wants to be secure. So I would say you understand the customer pain point and understand the roadmap. You just don't, as you said initially, right? Don't just sell and go. So since we have the expertise and the best practices from different banks and financial services, so we do the customer stickiness, where we understand, we be with them from the development, maybe request for proposal, you help them architecture solution, you go and development architecture, then you deploy, go production, and post production also you give a support and make sure they're completely up to date in the software, and anything new coming up, you know what to do. So that's where, I see an opportunity. Each and every small or big customer, you have an opportunity, definitely.
Absolutely. I'm curious too, just as more of an aside, but what's your favorite part about living in India? I always just love the continent. I've always found it, like, obviously Bollywood, you've put out, like, the movies have been fantastic. And well, it's funny because I was talking to an Indian partner the other day, and he was mentioning to me, he's like, "Oh man, it's monsoon season," and I'm like, "Oh, that, like, I'm in the Midwest US, and so I'm like, oh, like rain." So I say the typical Midwestern dad thing of like, "Oh, well, that's probably good for the grass." And he looks at me and he's like, "You don't understand what rain and monsoon season in India actually means, do you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
He's like, "You know that feeling when you have wet socks? Imagine that on your whole body all the time." And I'm like, "I am completely outclassed. I am so sorry. I didn't mean to, like, make light or make a joke about this. Like, I'm sure it's tough, but talk to me. What do you love about being in India?"
There are a lot of things, especially the food. The
Oh
food
God,
is good. The
yes.
culture is good, and you will find different languages even 100 miles apart. So that's
Right.
fascinating if you are really looking how it got developed, these languages. And the spiritual journey is really good, and you will see a lot of
Yeah.
organizations, NGOs, and the so-called saints. You can go in a lot of temples where you see the archaeology, and you discover the old stories. ancient stories. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
ancient civilization.
Now, I know we're wrapping up the official questions. I always like to end on a high note, and I want to talk to you a little bit about goals. Now, can you share one personal or professional goal you hope to achieve in 2025?
2025, it's not a goal because we have already started the goal last year, last to last year. So it's just time to reap it. We wanted to have a complete, maybe down the line, 3 years, what banks and fintechs are going to face due to the cyber attacks and the other security compliances. So we are making ourselves ready to help the customers and grow together. So that's where we're partnered with Akamai as well. With great help to that, one part was missing. Now it's complete. So, and also Hasikar Vault. So that's what we were targeting. And this gives
Yes.
a good opportunity for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the Hashi acquisition. I think I'd heard somewhere where they're like, is it 80 or 90% of the customers are on the free version of it? And so I think as partners
Right.
and resellers, we're thinking of like, are there compelling packages we can help to put together to help, increase the paid versions a little bit more? But that'll probably be a topic for another podcast because I don't want to get too far into the weeds on IBM and sales strategy. But Hari, thank you so much. This has been a tremendous conversation, very enlightening for me. And I want to thank you for your time. I hope our audience found this enlightening as well. And just thank you
Sure.
again. We are looking forward to more great business in India with Pronteff. And just thanks again for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Nick.